My name is Princess Juliana al-Rashid, and I need to tell you about the night I met someone, or something, that changed everything I thought I knew about my family, about power, and about the truth that's been hidden from humanity for generations. I know how this sounds. I know you're probably thinking I've lost my mind. But I'm telling you this story because what I learned that night is too important to keep silent about, no matter how crazy it makes me sound. Before I tell you what happened, you need to understand who I am and where I come from. Context matters here, because what I'm about to tell you involves one of the most powerful families in the Middle East, secrets that span decades, and a cover-up so massive it involves governments, corporations, and institutions you trust every single day. I'm a Saudi princess. My family has wealth and influence that most people can't even imagine. We have connections to oil, to technology, to defense contracts, to political power across multiple continents. From the outside, we look like the epitome of success. Beautiful palaces, designer clothes, access to anything and everything money can buy. But here's what people don't see: the pressure, the constant surveillance, the expectations, the knowledge that you're never really free because every choice you make affects not just you, but the entire family's reputation and power structure. I grew up in that world, educated at the best schools, fluent in 5 languages, trained from childhood to be the perfect princess, polished, poised, prepared to marry strategically and produce heirs who would continue the family legacy. But I was always curious, always asking questions, always wanting to understand not just what was true, but why it was true. My tutors loved me. My family tolerated me. As long as my curiosity didn't lead to embarrassment or scandal, they let me pursue my interests. I studied astrophysics at Cambridge, not because I needed a career — princesses don't need careers — but because I was fascinated by the universe, by the questions of whether we're alone, whether there's intelligent life beyond Earth, whether the cosmos holds answers to questions humanity hasn't even learned to ask yet. My family thought it was a harmless hobby, something that made me seem intelligent and interesting at dinner parties. They didn't realize that my studies were leading me to ask uncomfortable questions. Questions about government programs, about classified research, about things my own family was involved in that they'd never discussed with me. It started with a research paper I was writing about the Fermi paradox. You know, the question of why, if the universe is so vast and old, we haven't encountered evidence of alien civilizations. I was diving deep into declassified government documents, reading everything I could find about UFO sightings, governmental responses, official denials. And I started noticing patterns. Coincidences that didn't feel like coincidences. My family's name appearing in connection with certain defense contracts, certain research facilities, certain programs that officially didn't exist, but somehow had funding and infrastructure and results. I asked my father about it one night at dinner. Casual question. Father, why is our family invested in aerospace defense research? I thought we focused on energy and technology. The temperature in the room dropped. My father set down his fork very carefully. My mother stopped mid-conversation. My uncle Hassan, who was visiting, gave me a look I couldn't quite read. "Where did you hear about that?" my father asked quietly. I didn't hear about it. I saw it. In public records. Our family has significant holdings in companies doing classified government work. That's just investment diversification. Nothing interesting. But these aren't normal defense contractors. These are companies researching things like advanced propulsion systems, materials that don't exist in nature, technologies that seem decades ahead of anything publicly available. Why would we invest in that? My uncle Hassan interrupted. Juliana, some questions are better left unasked. Some doors are better left closed. Your curiosity is admirable, but there are areas where it's inappropriate. Inappropriate? Or just inconvenient? My father stood. This conversation is over. You will not pursue this line of inquiry. You will not discuss our family's business interests with anyone outside this family. And you will remember that some knowledge is restricted for very good reasons. Am I clear? I nodded. But I didn't stop investigating. I just got more careful about it. Over the next 6 months, I dug deeper. I used my access, my connections, my family name to open doors that would be closed to ordinary researchers. I found things, disturbing things. Evidence that governments around the world had been in contact with non-human intelligence for decades. Evidence of technology that couldn't have been developed by humans. Evidence of a massive, coordinated cover-up involving the most powerful families and institutions on the planet, including my own family. I found documents showing that my grandfather had been part of an international council formed in the 1950s, a council whose purpose was to manage contact with extraterrestrial visitors, to reverse engineer their technology, to decide what information would be shared with the public and what would be kept secret forever. My family wasn't just rich from oil, we were rich from alien technology, from materials and knowledge that had been slowly, carefully leaked into human civilization, creating revolutions in computing, material science, energy production, all attributed to human genius, all actually derived from technology we didn't develop ourselves. I was furious, betrayed. My entire life had been built on a lie. My family's power, my education, my privileged position, all of it funded by secrets, by deception, by keeping humanity in the dark about the most important discovery in human history. I confronted my father again, this time in his private study where I knew we'd be alone. I know, I said simply. I know about the visitors. I know about the technology. I know about the council. I know what our family has been hiding. He didn't deny it. Didn't act surprised. He just looked tired. How much do you know? Enough. Enough to understand that we've been lying to the entire world for 70 years. Enough to know that our wealth, our power, it's all built on stolen technology and manufactured scarcity. We could have given humanity unlimited clean energy decades ago. We could have revolutionized medicine, transportation, everything. But we didn't. Because it was more profitable to keep people dependent, to maintain control. It's more complicated than that. Then explain it to me. Make me understand why this is okay. He poured himself a drink, offered me one. I declined. When the first visitors arrived in 1947, the governments that made contact faced an impossible choice. They had technology that could solve every human problem: energy, disease, hunger, aging. But they also had technology that could destroy human civilization in seconds. Weapons that made nuclear bombs look like firecrackers. The question became, do we give humanity access to godlike technology when we can barely manage the technology we already have? So you decided to keep it secret, to dole it out slowly, to profit from it. We decided to manage it, to prevent chaos, to give humanity time to mature before giving them access to technology they weren't ready for. He looked at me directly. You've studied history. You know what happens when civilizations acquire technology they don't have the wisdom to manage. They destroy themselves. We were trying to prevent that. By becoming rich and powerful in the process. How convenient. Don't be naive, Juliana. Yes, we benefited. But we also carried the burden of this knowledge. The responsibility of deciding what humanity was ready for. It's not as simple as you want it to be. What about the visitors? Where are they now? Are we still in contact? He hesitated. Some are here, living among us, observing, guiding, making sure we don't destroy ourselves before we're ready to join the larger galactic community. And they're okay with this? With the deception? With keeping humanity ignorant? They suggested it. They've seen thousands of civilizations go through this transition. They know the dangers. They're trying to help us survive it. I didn't believe him. Not fully. Something about his explanation felt rehearsed. Like a story he'd told himself so many times he'd started to believe it. I want to meet them, I said. The visitors. I want to hear their perspective directly. That's not possible. Why not? If they're here, if they're involved in this decision, I should be able to talk to them, unless you're lying, unless they don't actually approve of what you're doing. Juliana, set up a meeting. Prove to me this is really about protecting humanity, and not just about protecting your power and profits. Or I start talking. I go public with everything I've found. His face hardened. You wouldn't. Try me. We stared at each other. I saw him calculating, weighing options, deciding how serious I was. Fine, he said finally. I'll arrange something. But Juliana, once you go down this path, there's no going back. Once you know the full truth, you become part of it. You become responsible for it. Are you sure that's what you want? I'm sure. 3 days later, I received instructions. A time. A location. A remote desert facility 3 hours outside Riyadh. I was to come alone. Tell no one. Bring nothing electronic. I should have been scared. Should have questioned whether this was a trap. Whether my father was actually going to introduce me to alien visitors or just silence me permanently. But I wasn't scared. I was excited. Finally, I was going to get answers. The facility looked like nothing from the outside. Just a few low buildings in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by security. I was met by guards who checked me thoroughly, then escorted me inside. The interior was different. Clinical, advanced. Technology everywhere that looked decades ahead of anything publicly available. Screens displaying information I couldn't quite process. Equipment whose purpose I couldn't guess. My father was waiting in a small conference room, along with my Uncle Hassan and 3 other people I didn't recognize. 2 men and a woman, all dressed in normal business attire, but with something slightly off about them. Their proportions were almost right, but not quite. Their movements were fluid, but in a way that seemed practiced rather than natural. Juliana, my father said, these are our advisors. They've agreed to speak with you. The woman stepped forward. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Princess Juliana, we've been watching your research with great interest. You're very intelligent, very persistent. These are admirable qualities. Her voice was normal. Her appearance was normal. But something about her made every instinct I had scream that she was not human. You're one of them, I said. You're a visitor. I am. My name, in your language, would be approximately Lyra. My colleagues are Tarek and Mihan. We've been working with your family for 3 generations. I sat down slowly. This was real. This was actually happening. I was sitting across from an alien being discussing intergalactic politics like it was a business meeting. I need to know the truth, I said. All of it. Why the secrecy? Why keep humanity in the dark? My father says it's for our protection, but I don't believe that's the whole story. Lyra exchanged glances with her companions. Some kind of communication passed between them that I couldn't perceive. You're right, she said finally. That's not the whole story. May I show you something? She touched the table, and a holographic display appeared. Images. Data. Information flowing faster than I could process. But I caught glimpses. Civilizations rising and falling. Planets burning. Species destroying themselves with technology they weren't ready for. This is what happens when species acquire advanced technology too quickly, Lyra explained. They destroy themselves. Every single time. We've watched it happen across thousands of worlds over millions of years. Species that receive or develop godlike technology before they develop wisdom always use it to destroy themselves. So you're protecting us. We're trying to, by carefully managing the flow of technology, by working with select humans, like your family, to guide your species through this critical transition period. But you're also benefiting. My family is benefiting. You're not just protecting us, you're exploiting us. Lyra's expression didn't change, but something in the room shifted. You're very perceptive. Yes, there is benefit for us as well. We provide technology. Your family helps us navigate human politics and maintain the secrecy we need to operate. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. What do you get out of it? Why are you here at all? She hesitated. This was the first time she'd seemed uncertain. Resources, information, genetic material. Your planet has unique biological diversity that's valuable. Your species has certain qualities, creativity, adaptability, emotional range, that are rare in the galaxy. We study you. We learn from you. And occasionally, we take samples. My blood ran cold. Samples? You're experimenting on humans? With consent. Always with consent. Your family provides access to volunteers, people who are compensated generously for their participation. Volunteers? Or people who don't have a choice? Poor people. Desperate people. People my family has power over? Silence. I stood up. This is monstrous. You're not protecting humanity. You're farming us, using us. And my family is helping you do it in exchange for technology and power. My father stood as well. Juliana, you're oversimplifying. The reality is complex. The benefits humanity has received. The benefits you've received. You and the other families in your little council. Everyone else gets scraps while you profit from stolen technology and human experimentation. I turned to Lyra. Why tell me this? Why not just lie? Why show me evidence of your exploitation? Because you asked for the truth. Because you were going to discover it eventually. And because... She paused. Because I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I believe you deserve to know. The arrangement your family has with us, it's not what you think. They believe they're partners, equals, managing technology transfer for humanity's benefit. But that's not true. No, we've been managing them, using them. The technology we've given is carefully selected to keep you dependent, to keep you from developing true independence. We've been slowing your progress, not accelerating it, keeping you at a level where you're useful, but not threatening. The room exploded. My father, my uncle, the other two visitors. Everyone started talking at once. Lyra held up a hand. They didn't know. None of the human families know. They believe they're part of an enlightened partnership. They don't realize they're being managed just as much as the rest of humanity. Possibly more. Why are you telling me this? I asked again. Because I'm tired of the deception. Because I've been observing your species for 40 Earth years, and I've developed something we're not supposed to develop. Empathy. Attachment. I care what happens to you, and I think you deserve the truth. All of it. One of the other visitors, Tarek, spoke sharply in a language I didn't understand. Lyra responded in the same language. An argument, fast and heated. I'm violating protocols, Lyra said to me, switching back to English. I will face consequences for this. But before I'm removed, I need to tell you the most important thing. The council your family belongs to, the humans who think they're managing alien contact. They're not in charge. We are. We've always been. And the plan has never been to prepare humanity for galactic membership. The plan has been to keep you controlled, dependent, and useful indefinitely. Why? Why bother? If you're so advanced, why not just take what you want? Because open conquest creates resistance. But deception, manipulation, the illusion of partnership, that creates cooperation, willing participation. Your family has been helping us control humanity without realizing they're being controlled themselves. My father's face had gone white. You're lying. This is some kind of test. We have agreements, contracts. We're allies. You have agreements we let you believe are meaningful, Lyra said sadly. I'm sorry, I truly am. But I've watched your family, watched humans in general, and I've come to believe this is wrong. You deserve self-determination. You deserve the truth, even if it destroys the comfortable lies we've built. Alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed. Tarek and Mihan grabbed Lyra, restraining her. She didn't fight. Find the others, she called to me as she was dragged away. Other visitors who feel as I do. We're rare, but we exist. We can help you expose this. Free humanity from the control structures we've built. But you need to act quickly. Once I'm processed, once they realize I've told you the truth, they'll move against you, against your family. They'll eliminate anyone who knows too much. Then she was gone. The door sealed, and I was left standing in that conference room with my father and uncle and the crushing weight of what I'd just learned. My father collapsed into a chair. This can't be true. We've been working with them for 3 generations. They've been helping us, advising us, protecting us. They've been using you, I said quietly. Using all of us, and we need to figure out what to do about it. That was 3 months ago. Since then, my life has been chaos. My family initially didn't believe me, thought I'd misunderstood, thought Lyra was lying or that it was some kind of test. But then evidence started emerging. Small things at first. Inconsistencies in the technology we'd been given. Subtle ways it kept us dependent rather than advancing. Patterns in the advice we'd received that always seemed to benefit the visitors more than humanity. And I found others. Other humans who'd discovered pieces of the truth. Scientists who'd been silenced. Whistleblowers who'd been discredited. People across the world who'd seen things, knew things, but had been isolated and marginalized so their stories would be dismissed as conspiracy theories. We're building a network, carefully, quietly. People who know the truth and are working to expose it. Not through dramatic revelations, those get shut down too quickly, but through slow, steady disclosure, through building evidence that can't be ignored or explained away. I found other visitors too. Like Lyra said, there are some who've developed empathy for humanity, who believe we deserve self-determination, who are willing to risk their own positions to help us. They've told me things I can barely process, about the galactic community we're being kept out of, about technologies we could have that would revolutionize everything, about the future humanity could have if we were free to develop at our own pace, instead of being artificially constrained. But they've also warned me about the dangers, about factions among the visitors who see humanity as nothing more than resources to be managed, about the very real possibility that if we push too hard, too fast, we'll face consequences we're not prepared for. My family is divided. Some want to continue the arrangement, believing it's still our best option. Others are angry, feeling betrayed, wanting to expose everything immediately. My father has become obsessed with reviewing every interaction we've had with the visitors, looking for manipulation he missed. The family council has fractured. Some members have disappeared. Some have had accidents. Some have publicly denounced the whole thing as fantasy, while privately reaching out to me for more information. I don't sleep well anymore. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if the visitors are listening, wondering if my communications are monitored, wondering if I'll be the next person to have a convenient accident. But I can't stop. Because Lyra was right. Humanity deserves the truth. We deserve self-determination. We deserve to make our own choices about our future, even if those choices are mistakes, even if we're not ready, even if it's dangerous. Being protected like children might keep us safe, but it also keeps us from growing up, from becoming who we could be, from taking our place as an independent species rather than managed resources. I'm telling you this story for several reasons. First, because someone needs to know. If something happens to me, someone needs to continue this work. Someone needs to keep pushing for disclosure, for truth, for human independence. Second, because you need to understand, the world is not what you think it is. The power structures you see, governments, corporations, wealthy families, they're not the top of the hierarchy. They're middle management, unknowing participants in a control structure that spans the solar system. Third, because I need you to question everything, every technological advancement, every political decision, every bit of conventional wisdom about what's possible and what's not. Ask yourself, who benefits? Who's really in control? What aren't we being told? I know how this sounds. I know it sounds like conspiracy theory nonsense, like I've lost touch with reality. But I'm a princess with access to information most people never see. I'm a scientist trained to evaluate evidence objectively. And I'm telling you, this is real. The visitors are real. The cover-up is real. The manipulation is real. And the choice we face as a species is real. Do we continue being managed? Continue accepting the comfortable lies and limited technology and carefully controlled progress? Continue letting others decide what we're ready for? Or do we demand the truth? Risk the chaos that comes with real freedom. Take responsibility for our own future, even if it's terrifying. I can't make that choice for humanity. None of us can. But I can tell you the truth. I can give you the information you need to make an informed choice. I can show you that the cage you're in exists, even if I can't force you to leave it. Some of you will dismiss this as fantasy. That's okay. That's the cognitive protection kicking in, the mind protecting itself from information that would shatter your worldview. I understand. I did the same thing initially. But some of you will hear this and recognize the truth. You'll feel it in your gut. You'll remember strange things you've seen or heard. You'll start connecting dots you've been trained not to connect. You'll begin to question. And that questioning is the first step toward freedom. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if we'll succeed in exposing the truth. I don't know if humanity will choose freedom over security when given the choice. I don't even know if I'll survive long enough to see the outcome. But I know I had to try. I had to tell this story. I had to give you the choice. My name is Princess Juliana Al-Rashid. A visitor named Lyra risked everything to warn me about a truth my family and families like mine have been hiding for generations. Not because they're evil, but because they were being used without knowing it. Manipulated into thinking they were partners when they were just more sophisticated pawns. I'm breaking my silence now. I'm telling you the truth, and I'm asking you to do something with it. Question everything. Demand evidence. Look for patterns. Connect with others who are questioning. Build networks of truth seekers. Push for disclosure. Push for transparency. Push for humanity's right to self-determination. It won't be easy. It might not even be safe. But it's necessary. Because we deserve better than being someone else's resource. We deserve better than managed development and controlled progress. We deserve the right to make our own mistakes, chart our own course, and become whatever we're capable of becoming, even if it's terrifying, even if it's dangerous, even if we're not ready. Because being ready isn't something someone gives you permission for. It's something you become by facing challenges head-on. That's the truth Lyra tried to give us. That's the truth I'm trying to share with you. What you do with it is up to you.